Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we saw the Savannah State Tigers absolutely throttle the NCAA State Aggies. And now we are going to go take a look at the nation, have a quick Week 2 recap, and then go through my Week 3 predictions. And we're not actually going to take a look at the top 25 today. I actually recorded this after I had played a couple games, so I don't want any spoilers in there. Well, let's take a look at the Heisman candidates. Jason Holley, wide receiver for Wyoming, over 300 yards and 7 touchdowns. Ryan Sands still balling out, 4 touchdowns on the season. Jordan Atkins, 14 passing touchdowns. That is insane. And 918 yards passing as well. 5 touchdowns against Texas State. Anthony Harley, 3 receptions, 111 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the season for the slot receiver out of Colorado State. Andrew Parker only really had that one big game against Southern Utah, and I'm not sure if Army has actually played any other games this season. Let's take a look at the Week 2 Players of the Week. Top 2 players in the NCAA are Will Martin out of Northwestern State. We saw him run all over the Jacksonville Dolphins to the tune of 219 yards and 5 total touchdowns. Tony Penn, Sam Houston State outside linebacker at 18 tackles. Oh my goodness. MJ Gator, ACC Offensive Player of the Week, 6 carries, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Jason Coleman, non-subscriber player for Bryant, had 3 tackles, interception, and a touchdown. I believe he also had a fumble recovery. The Big Ten, Ray Neal, quarterback for Montana, threw for 350-plus yards and 3 scores. Brett Walker, outside linebacker for UNI, had a heck of a game as well. Big 12 Southeastern quarterback, threw for over 300 yards and 6 total touchdowns. Tony Penn, 18 tackles, 3 sacks, forced fumble recovery. Also the NCAA Player of the Week. Thomas Robinson for Cornell had 310 yards receiving on 20 catches with 2 touchdowns. Insane. Cameron Weber, 9 tackles, interception, forced fumble for Dartmouth. Ricky Washington for UTEP threw for 464 yards and 6 touchdowns. Wow. Brandon Mitchell, outside linebacker for Towson, had 7 tackles, interception, and 2 forced fumbles in their win over Montana State. Independent Players of the Week. Quarterback Micah Turner for Navy, 111 yards passing, 159 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns. Kellen Myers, defensive tackle, had 3 tackles and a couple sacks. The MAC Hofstra halfback, Casey Woodard, running all over the Jackrabbits last week. 4 touchdowns, 249 yards, and 43 receiving yards with a touchdown. Draw Johnson, strong safety for Central Michigan, had 6 tackles, 1 interception, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery in their win over the Dayton Flyers. Mountain West, Jordan Atkins, 350 yards, 6 touchdown passes in one game. That was against University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Marshall Hall, left end for Eastern Kentucky, had 9 tackles, interception, and a fumble recovery against Bethune-Cookman College. Pac-10, Northern Arizona wide receiver, had 255 yards on 14 receptions with 3 touchdowns. Anthony Harmon for Cal Poly had 5 tackles, a sack, interception, and a forced fumble. He was doing it all. Quarterback Terry Washington for Elkhorn State threw for 243 yards and 5 touchdowns in their win over Hampton or Howard, one of the two. Drew Marshall, defensive tackle for the Grambling State Tigers, had 11 tackles, 7 for a loss, 3 sacks, and a forced fumble, balling out. And there's Will Martin again for the Sun Belt this time, over 200 yards, 5 touchdowns against the Dolphins. Derek Watson, outside linebacker, balled out as well for Samford. And the WAC, Andy Barrett, halfback for Idaho, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns, 33 receiving yards. Drew Shaw, free safety for Hawaii, 6 tackles, tackle for a loss, 2 interceptions, and a touchdown against the University of San Diego Toreros. It was a heck of a game by that man. He balled out of his mind. The Aztecs have a tough road ahead as they travel to the Air Force Falcons to take them on. And we already saw Southern Utah beat the Falcons in that stadium. We know it's not impossible after that monumental upset for the Thunderbirds. Let's get into the Week 2 predictions and actual outcomes of those games. For the UC Davis and Citadel game, I predicted 35-21, and it was actually 31-21, so that was very close. Cal Poly versus Western Kentucky in Western Kentucky. I had the Mustangs winning that one 28-24. They ended up destroying Western Kentucky 56-17. I was not even close on that one. Dayton taking on the Central Michigan Chippewas. I had Central Michigan winning that one 45-42. And they actually scored one more touchdown than I thought. And they won it 52-42 over the Flyers. North Dakota State hosted the number 5 ranked Colorado State Rams in the Fargo Dome, and I predicted a close matchup with the Rams winning 35-31, and again, I was not even close at all. Colorado State destroyed the Bison 56-17. And the 5th game of Week 2, Northern Colorado hosted the 20th ranked San Jose State Spartans, and I had the Spartans winning that one 28-10, and they actually throttled the Bears 49-7, and it was not pretty, folks. Let's get into the next 5 games from Week 2. South Dakota State hosted the Hofstra Pride, and I thought the Jackrabbits would win that one by a touchdown, 31-24, but instead the Hofstra Pride come in and upset the South Dakota State Jackrabbits 56-42 in their home opener, and I'm still shocked by that score, and their running back was just going crazy against the Jackrabbits. The Jacksonville Dolphins hosted the Northwestern State Demons. I had the Dolphins winning that one 38-35 in a close one, but Northwestern State had other plans. They won that game 42-10. Again, a home opener for one of our 12 schools in this dynasty, and it did not end pretty. The San Diego Toreros traveled to Hawaii to take on the 10th ranked Warriors, and I thought they would win or lose that one 45-21. And Hawaii actually put up 4 more points, and the Toreros actually scored 4 less than I predicted. So, pretty close prediction there. I wish the Toreros would actually have done better, but, you know, there's always next week, folks. Then our first subscriber versus subscriber team game happened. The VMI Cadets traveling to Rhode Island to take on the Bryant Bulldogs. I predicted 28-21, and I made that prediction before VMI actually had to suspend 3 of their star players. So I was not close on this one. Bryant pulled away, and they never looked back. It was 33-7. And then the biggest game of Week 2, the Southern Utah Thunderbirds traveled to take on the 8th-ranked Air Force Falcons in the number 1 toughest stadium to play in the nation. And I thought Air Force was going to win it 24-21, and the Thunderbirds pulled off the huge upset 31-28, and they just crushed the fans for the Falcons. That place was quiet. Our final Week 2 game was Savannah State taking on the NCAA State Aggies, and it was actually in the Aggie Stadium, so this graphic is wrong, but it was an ACC matchup, the first conference game in this dynasty for any of the schools. I thought the Tigers would win 45-17, and they did not disappoint, folks. 78-7 was the final. If you have not seen the highlights from that game, go ahead and check it out. I posted them earlier today. Let's take a look at the Week 3 matchups and my predictions. We got UC Davis traveling to take on the 8th-ranked Nevada Wolfpack. I got the Wolfpack winning that one 42-21. They just have a lot of depth and a lot of speed. Savannah State continues their conference play as they travel to take on the Delaware State Hornets. And I got the Tigers winning that one 35-17. They look really dominant right now, and I really like their chances in that conference. Our third game, Dayton travels to take on the 18th-ranked San Jose State Spartans. I got the Flyers in a close one, 28-27. Game 4 is a rematch of the 2017 FCS National Championship game. The North Dakota State Bison will travel to take on the James Madison Dukes. And I got the Bison winning a close one, 27-24. And they're going to get that ground and pound game working. I can see it now. Game 5, Northern Colorado. The poor Bears travel to take on the number 1 ranked Boise State Broncos on the blue turf. I do not like their chances in this one. I got the Broncos winning 45-21. And the second half of Week 3, I've got the South Dakota State Jackrabbits traveling to UNLV, who are ranked 20th in the country. I got the Rebels winning a close one, 41-35 over South Dakota State. Then we got Cal Poly hosting the Murray State Racers, and I got the Mustangs going out on top, 31-20. Then Southern Utah hosts the Idaho State Bengals in their first conference matchup of the season. And I got the Thunderbirds winning that one 24-21. Their fullback is nasty. Their halfback's good. They get their star middle linebacker, Donald Lee Jr., back for that game as well. So they're going to be almost at full strength, just going to be missing Prince McCutcheon at the wideout spot. The 9th game, we got the Bryant Bulldogs traveling to take on ACC foe, the Howard Bison. And I've got the Bryant Bulldogs winning that one 28-10. Noel Montanez needs to fix his struggles because he threw 5 interceptions in week 2. It wasn't pretty, and I look for him to have a big game against the Bison. Final game of week 3, the Jacksonville Dolphins host the number 25 ranked FIU Golden Panthers, and the Dolphins really struggled in their season opener against Northwestern State, and I think they're going to struggle again here, having no offensive linemen. I think the Golden Panthers are going to go away late and win this one 38-28. Well, that is going to do it for taking a look at the nation, our Week 2 recap, and our Week 3 predictions for our FCS Dynasty. I want to hear your guys' predictions in the comments section below. And I will see you guys Wednesday with the UC Davis Aggies as they take on the Citadel Bulldogs. Take it easy, guys.